Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told how to voice the radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at Dialga VSTAR. I've always liked Dialga more than Palkia. I've always thought Dialga was cooler. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we look at these V-Stars side by side, I mean, I showed you Palkia a moment ago, and I told you it looked really good, and I meant it. But oh my goodness, Dialga seems awesome. Of course, we have just had the reveal of the new Japanese double set over in Japan, Time Gazer and Space Juggler. And basically, that is the double set featuring Dialga and Palkia. And incidentally, right, I may have been wrong about Gen 9 not coming this year. Although, incidentally, I am delighted that I'm wrong, because I am very much looking forward to that game. But I absolutely nailed it the second we saw the trademarks filed for these names months ago. I told you it was a double set featuring Dialga and Palkia, and that is exactly what it's proven to be. And of course, we've already seen that the booster packs from Astral Radiance, two of them do feature Dialga and Palkia. So, you know, Astral Radiance is our Sword and Shield 10. This is Japan's Sword and Shield 10. So we kind of knew they were coming anyway, but this is actual concrete confirmation, which is lovely. So, Dialga then. What we've got here, Origin Dialga V, we got 220 HP, which is as high as we see. We got a retreat cost of 2, which is fine. And weakness to fire. Victini's going to be happy. Although honestly, Victini will get a KO on the V, whether you're weak or not. The V-Star, however, Victini will have a nice little field day. But it's not the end of the world, it's not a terrible weakness. What we've got here is 1 colourless energy, attach up to 2 metal energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. And I've told you this stuff before. Essentially, what the deal is here is you're attaching energy, and that's lovely, but what you're really doing is setting up for next turn. And while you're setting up for next turn, you're giving your opponent a free shot. And I'm not a fan of those kind of attacks. Yes, you're getting the extra 2 energy, that's lovely, but you're getting the extra 2 energy on your active Pokemon. That is the Pokemon that is going to be sitting in the active when the turn goes to your opponent, that your opponent can just have a free shot on. And I don't like that. I don't like letting my opponent have a free shot on one of my Pokemon, because if I attach the energy and then my opponent gets a KO, who cares? That's not going well for me. So I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I am not a fan of this, although in the early game it could work out, obviously. We've then got 3 metal, 1 colourless, time rend, 180, no. No. Bearing in mind, Palkia was free energy 200, and fine, admittedly, you couldn't attack next turn, don't care. Now, I will say Choice Bout helps here a lot. Choice Bout is great, because it makes the 180 into 210, which still doesn't get the 220, and 220 is a key number for Pokemon V, but it's pretty close, you'll get a bunch, it's not the end of the world. The thing is, it's 4 energy. And look, there's ways around this. We've got Metal Saucer still. Now, admittedly, Metal Saucer's not going to last that long, but it's still there for a little bit. Metal Saucer should be rotating in end of August, beginning of September, and this is Astral Radiance going to be our May set. So it ain't perfect, but we've got that. And actually, that was a decent time to mention the new Magnezone. We'll talk about this properly in a video probably tomorrow, but it is worth mentioning the new Magnezone has a great ability. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 6 cards of your deck and attach any number of metal energy you find to your Pokemon in any way you like. A clearly flat-out over-the-top phenomenal ability. However, it's not ideal, ladies and gentlemen, because it's a stage 2. And it really is as simple as that. It's a stage 2. And that means it's going to be hard to use, it's going to be hard to tech in, it's going to be hard to get rolling, it's going to take a couple of turns to get rolling, so clearly a great ability, clearly a good option, clearly not perfect. But my point is we've got ways to get the metal energy on there, it's not the end of the world. But it's still 4 energy, and you've still got to put a Choice Belt on to make it really work, so nah. But Dialga VSTAR? Yes. 1 colorless energy, 40 damage plus 40 more for each metal energy attached to this Pokemon. This may or may not end up being amazing. It really matters. I mean, we'll get to the V-Star power in a moment, but you need 5 energy on. If you've got 5 energy on, that's 240. Actually, 240 is great. Because 240 gets all Pokemon V, and then you're only, if you put a Sixth on there, and I know that's asking a lot, but if you put a Sixth on there, you hit 280, and that actually will get everyone. All the V-Star. Not all the V-Maxes, but they are on the way out. It'll get all the V-Star, including Dialga itself. I should mention you go up to 280 HP here, which is great. And this is fine. You've got to get the energy on. That's the issue. Now, I do like we got that Bronzong nowadays that does let you move energy around the board. So that's going to help. You can keep the energy on your various Pokemon and then just move it all over in one go when you're ready. That's nice. And this was in battle style, so that will add 1 more year to its legality. It'll be a year longer than Metal Saucer. But I get the feeling that you want something like Magnezone really firing to get this working. Now, there is a way that before rotation we can go a little bit nuts here. Because as well as Metal Saucer, we've also got Turbo Patch. And I know Turbo Patch is flippy, but if you hit 2 of them, that's an extra 2 energy. And let's not also forget that we've still got Zacian. Now, Zacian attaches to itself, so you'll need something like Bronzong to move it. And again, I know that's rotating out, but we've still got it for the moment. And this is kind of my point here. I adore this potential, but it is pre-rotation. And I think pre-rotation, we could be on to something, mucking about with Metal Saucer, Turbo Patch, and Zacian. And I honestly think that could work. Post-rotation, I don't know how I'm getting the energy on other than Magnezone. Because the thing is, the V-Star power here is properly broken. 3 metal and a 4th metal and a colorless, 220 damage, take another turn. And this just makes Glaceon look rubbish. Because Glaceon, if you've forgotten, is 220, and then it gets immunity next turn. But the problem is your opponent can just gust around it, so yeah. Although Glaceon is 2 less energy, let's be clear. And this is just dumb. Like, proper dumb. It is over the top good. Because it's not just that you get another attack, although you do get another attack, and that is great. It's the fact that you get another turn. And that does include attacking, but it also includes all your once per turn abilities. It includes a second supporter card, which of course is once per turn. And this adds up. If you play this right, this does what V-Star powers should do. It ends the game. Because 220 is that key number I mentioned a moment ago. This should be the KO on a Pokemon V. And then next turn, you should be hitting at least that much. Because remember, if you've used a V-Star power, then you've got 5 energy on, which means you're doing 240 with your first attack. But then you can attach another energy manually, which is 280. So if you can use a V-Star power, then the next turn you should be able to attach an energy, and that'll give you 6 energy, which is 280, which KOs a V-Star. So you really should be able to KO a Pokemon V, then you get the next turn, then you KO a V-Star. That's 4 prizes out of 6 before your opponent gets to do anything. Now, there is actually kind of silly combos going on here, so I don't know how viable they actually are, but don't forget, in Expanded, Dialga GX is legal, and 5 energy, 150, take another turn after this one. And the reason why I like Dialga V-Star more than I like Dialga GX is because 150 was never enough. That was always a bit weak. 220 is a key number, and I do think that kind of changes everything. That makes a huge difference, because now I am getting that KO. And then I'm getting an extra turn, rather than getting a decent attack, and then getting an extra turn. And that is a big difference, ladies and gentlemen. A genuinely big difference. Maybe more reliable, is Medicham. Because don't forget, Medicham has got a great thing nowadays, whereby for 2 colourless energy, you place 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, but if you take a KO, take another turn. Although you can't loop it. If you've used it once, you can't use it the following turn. You've got to take a turn off, so to speak. The thing is, you can use Dialga, and maybe you don't get a KO. Maybe you do 220 and it's not quite enough. But then the next turn you use Medicham, and you take a KO, and you have a 3rd turn in a row. You can legitimately, in Standard, get 3 turns in a row. If you can leave your opponent with 1 Pokemon with 20 damage remaining, you can literally take 6 prizes with 3 KOs before your opponent gets another go. You take a KO with Star Chronos, the V-Star power, then you get the next turn. Then you finish off that Pokemon with 2 damage counters remaining by using Medicham, and then you take another turn, and then you use Metal Blast to take the 3rd and final KO. Your opponent can have 1 prize remaining, and you can have 6, but if you can bring something into Medicham range, you can take 3 turns in a row and win. And that's, don't get me wrong, when you go to Expanded, you can start playing around with Dialga GX and maybe getting some really silly combos going. Bearing in mind, you can use Bronzong to move all the energy from Dialga VSTAR to Dialga GX, and Dialga GX is a basic Pokemon, and this is all completely above board. But even just staying in Standard, you can legitimately take 3 turns in a row without much hassle. Like I say, you need to bring a Pokemon down to being almost KO'd, but as soon as you can do that, attack with Dialga or Medicham, get an extra turn, attack with the other one, get an extra turn, and then just use a big attack to finish off and win the game. And this is not outside the realms of possibility. I think the energy is a problem. Especially, and like I say, I think pre-rotation, if you can be playing around with Zacian and Metal Sorcerer and maybe Turbo Patch, I do think it's way more viable. I think there is a pre-rotation stupid speed deck to be made here. Bearing in mind Turbo Patch will also work for Medicham. And I don't know what we're doing post-rotation. I don't know if Magnezone's going to end up being good enough, but the potential here is just beyond pretty much anything we've seen. It is definitely going to be worth it. It's got to be a 5 WOSY card. Maybe we won't have the energy acceleration post-rotation and it won't be good enough, but certainly pre-rotation, and certainly if we get good metal energy acceleration back, this could be an absolute game changer. If nothing else, pre-rotation and in Expanded, it's gonna work, so I still feel very comfortable rating this card very highly. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWarsy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.